Well, the Huskies silenced the Red Storm with an uproar of their own on the hardwood. We'll take you back to Wednesday night's toppling of St. John's at People's Bank Arena to start off our show.
And believe it or not, spring football is just around the corner. We will hear from Jason Candle on why a spring football game is important and when we can expect to see the Huskies in pads.
But first, from UConn Husky to Olympic gold medalist, we'll look at how Tage Thompson helped Team USA to glory and what Gino Auriemma had to say about Thompson's time in stores.
I'm not caring about today. It was just getting the right underwear.
Well, you never really know what you're going to get when Coach Hurley is at the podium, but what we do know is that he is a man of superstition, hence the putting on the correct pair of underwear comment there. And his stitions paid off Wednesday as the Husky train got back on track, so to speak, so much so that Hurley said after the game that he had, quote, very little to complain about after his team toppled St. John's 72-40 Wednesday night. Quieting the red-hot Red Storm, putting the Huskies in impeccable position as the Big East tournament looms. Welcome into Connecticut Game Week, everyone. I'm Alexa Harley.
And I'm Sean Humphrey. Was it superstition or stition? We had a little bit of both there.
I think all of us kind of perked up when he said that and looked around like, did he just say pick the right pair of underwear? But it totally makes sense when you know what Dan Hurley's all about.
Plenty of those moments with Dan Hurley over the course of the season. But one of the biggest things that was evident from tip-off was that UConn's defense was playing at the level that we saw when this season began. The Huskies had almost a 20-point lead at the half, pretty much making it a done deal with still 20 minutes left to play. And not to mention, the Red Storm sailed floater after floater in the second half, just further propelling the Huskies into an even bigger lead.
And it wasn't just defense alone. The Huskies had 41 rebounds, 32 of those coming off the Red Storm side of the glass. The Huskies also only allowed 5 turnovers. Now, that's what the stat sheet says, but they did take the shot clock violation in the final second. So we'll call it 4 true turnovers. And Coach Hurley said that there was a lot to like in Wednesday night's action and a lot to celebrate.
You know, there's not a whole lot for me to complain about. Just with the performance, I think just a lot of soul searching by the group. During that stretch that started at MSG where our defense kind of tanked, you know, I think you saw today its capabilities when we're dialed in. But I just think that today, you know, obviously it's about Alex Caraban's career, 27 straight now in this building for us. It's about Alex Caraban's career, obviously playing his last game here. You know, it was about, you know, our perimeter guys being better on defense. It was about the bench, I think, in the first half, like helping us extend the lead. When we went to the bench the first time we played them at MSG up 16-10, you know, we lost the lead 17-6. We were 7-0 run the wrong way quick. So our bench, I thought, made a difference, brought a lot of energy, especially in the first half. But to me, the game is about just Tarris Reed and what he's capable of when he, his last 2 games, if that's what he's decided to give us. But why do most people change in life? Because of pain. You know, pain forces people to change. And I think the pain of that Creighton game, the pain of that St. John's game in MSG has lit something with that guy. Today's performance was as good as a center has played for us in a game.
You heard Hurley there talk about Tarris Reed and how he practically is the key for this team to win. When Reed is on, the team finishes how they have against Villanova on Saturday and then St. John's on Wednesday. Now, Reed led with 20 points against the Red Storm, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 blocks. I could go on and on. And Hurley said that his center took the pain, as you heard, from that upset against Creighton last week and used it as fuel. And Reed agrees.
100%. I mean, playing here, especially coming back from my senior year, that was like the biggest thing, knowing how tough, hard, rigid, and like stressful on my mental it was my junior year. To choose that to come back, I mean, through pain, through suffering, that's where you get the true testament of a man, is that when you come out on top, when you go through the fire, when you go through adversity and you come out victorious, I mean, it takes a lot to hurt a man, and that's all credit to the guys around me, the coaching staff, especially Coach Hurley. I mean, he talks about it all the time, how tough and difficult practice is, and really just to be in the UConn uniform. So this guy right here is a legend, so it's cool playing alongside of him.
2 games is all the Huskies have left for the regular season, with Senior Day on Saturday at Gamble against Seton Hall.
Well, it's been nearly a week since history was made on the ice across the Atlantic when Team USA defeated Canada 2-1 in overtime off a Jack Hughes golden goal to win the USA's first men's ice hockey gold medal since the Miracle on Ice back in 1980. Now, Hughes is obviously the star of this moment with that golden goal, of course. But the infamous photo where, you see the stars and stripes draped over his back, sporting that bloody smile, that will go down in the history books. But one former UConn standout also played a key role in the U.S.'s first gold on the ice in 46 years, and that's Tage Thompson. Now, I got to talk with Thompson a few weeks back when he found out that he was going to be on the roster for Team USA, and he expressed just how excited and grateful he was for the opportunity to represent his country on the biggest stage. And on that stage, he recorded 3 goals and 1 assist to help Team USA eventually win that gold. And over the weekend, another UConn legend, Gino Auriemma, he spoke about his memory of Tage's time at Toscano and what his international success means for the Huskies.
When Tage played here, and you go, wow, that kid's really good, and you never think that kid's going to win a gold medal in the Olympics. I mean, it's 40 years since we've won a gold medal in men's ice hockey in the Olympics. And then when it does happen, it's probably the most incredible feeling that you can ever imagine for Cav, for his program, for all of Tage's teammates and the university. It elevates him and it elevates the hockey program because they'll always have that. If you go over right down the street here, go to Toscano, you can see the greatest hockey players in the world, future great hockey players.
I'm Kevin Ferry. When it counts, you need a top dog on your side. That's Ferry Law, proud sponsor of Connecticut Game Week's Top Dog.
Well, for the reigning national champions, Senior Day in stores brings some stories of overcoming adversity full circle. We'll talk about it.
Also ahead, we'll tell you about yet another milestone for Gino Auriemma, how Sarah Strong continues her strong hold on Big East honors, and we even head to the Diamond for a big series out west.
You'd like to say you could lean on experience, but really ultimately it's not a series or anything, it's just one game. So you really don't know what can happen in one game.
The matchup is set for the Hockey East Tournament quarterfinal. UConn women's hockey hosts the Maine Black Bears on Saturday at Toscano. We'll hear from head coach Chris McKenzie on what he expects from his opponent. More Connecticut Game Week next. Best in Show begins with the reigning national champions in a senior class that's been defined as much by its ability to fight through adversity as its ability to win games. The Huskies honored their seniors at a ceremony at Gamble this past weekend.
And we could joke about a 9-year title drought, the one that ended last season, tying the gap from Gino Auriemma's first game at UConn to his first championship. But it's taken more than the ability to stomach tough losses at tournament time to get this group to where it is today. Both Caroline Ducharme and Ayanna Patterson have wrestled with significant injury adversity. Ducharme's battles with concussions have kept her off the floor for parts of the past 4 seasons. Patterson, on the other hand, has missed the past 2 years with injuries. Then there's Ice Brady, who missed her freshman year and will also spend the rest of this season working to recover from an injury.
And along with these 3 and forward Sarah Williams, there's AZ Fudge. She missed a chunk of her sophomore year before she tore her ACL just 2 games into her junior season. But she played a big part in hanging the program's 12th banner as the Final Four's most outstanding player. And she's also become a fan favorite in the process at home and on the road. And as the youngest members of UConn Nation travel hours to see her and the team, she says she doesn't take the support lightly.
Like to take a step back and be able to look at those signs and look at the fans and no matter who it is, just seeing the constant love and support, it's really special. Like Caroline said on the court, like that, no matter how long we've been here, it's a constant that we've had, just the love and support from the fans, the student section, everyone. So it means the world that they show up every single night, even when we had like 5 healthy players to now 13 healthy players. But yeah, I don't know. It's so special. But like, it's only something like, you don't see that many places. So to be at the basketball capital of the world with fans that support you no matter what you're going through, the ups and downs, yeah, it's amazing. So it makes this basketball capital of the world.
Well, continuing our best in show, we have yet another record for Gino Auriemma. He made his 655th appearance in the AP poll, passing Tara Vanderveer. The Huskies also own the record for the most consecutive weeks in the AP poll at 622. The top-ranked UConn team are also on a 45-game winning streak.
45 games and counting, maybe. And for the 7th time this season, Sarah Strong has won Big East Player of the Week. Strong averaged 17 points and 7.5 rebounds in 2 wins last week. She leads UConn in points, rebounds, steals, and blocks this season. She also has 7 double-doubles.
And Claire Murdoch took home the Hockey East Player of the Week. She had her first career hat trick during UConn's 5-3 win over Merrimack last week. The sophomore forward now has 11 goals and 15 assists on the season. Her 29 points also rank her second on the team. She will also look to add to that total in the Hockey East quarterfinals when they play on Saturday in Stores.
Men's hockey forward Ryan Tattle is one of 5 finalists for the Hockey Humanitarian Award, which recognizes college hockey's finest citizen. In conjunction with the Canadian Cancer Society, Tattle founded the Score for Cancer Fund, which has raised over $185,000. Tattle lost his mother to cancer in 2022. The award winner will be announced at the Frozen Four in Las Vegas.
And it's early in the baseball season, but the Huskies closed out an impressive series against Arizona last weekend, taking 3 out of 4. UConn capped things off with an 11-2 win on Sunday, and it was the team's first ever series win over a Big 12 opponent. Nate Walker homered and racked up 3 RBI in that win as well. UConn also outscored Arizona 25-11 in the series.
Yeah, I see what the Huskies are doing, going all the way out west while we deal with the snow here. Meanwhile, time for some recon as the UConn women's hockey team pushes toward what could be the second NCAA tournament berth in program history. The group will have to focus its attention on the Maine Black Bears. The Huskies will host Maine in the Hockey East Tournament quarterfinal at Toscano this Saturday. And like any conference matchup, this is familiar territory for them. In 2 matchups with the Black Bears this season, the Huskies are 2-0. They were on the road for both games and won each by a single goal, 2-1 in Game 1 and 4-3 in Game 2. We asked head coach Chris McKenzie what he learned about the Black Bears in those matchups, and even though he's got home ice advantage this time, he says Maine still has plenty of tools he has to prepare for.
Look, Maine plays a real physical game. They play together. They play structured. They're bought in. I think their coach has done a really good job there over the last few years, creating an identity. And I would say we have our hands full. The games were up in Maine. That was, that's a little bit different than here. But I think they're a team that knows how to travel quite a bit and be ready to play and go. So they're going to present a lot of problems. I think they have great goaltending that can steal a game if they're being outplayed. And I'm definitely not taking this lightly. And we need to be on top of our game to get where we want to be.
If the Huskies win, they'll be back at home on Tuesday for the Hockey East semifinal. Number 1 seed Northeastern hosts Boston University. Vermont Boston College and New Hampshire Holy Cross rounds out the quarterfinal matchups. Puck drop Saturday is at 3.
It just makes me work even harder. It makes me want to push everything. This is the last opportunity that I have personally and our senior class has to actually make it here. So.
And as we look toward that Hockey East quarterfinal we just mentioned, we'll hear from senior forward Brooke Campbell about being part of a team that hopes to make Husky history. That and more when Connecticut Game Week returns.
It'll be the answer to a trivia question for years to come. Who scored the Toscano Family Ice Forum's first goal when it opened in 2023? The answer, then freshman forward Brooke Campbell broke the ice. Now the senior is still making history as a key part of one of the best regular seasons the program's ever had. But as she and her teammates write the book on UConn women's hockey, she remembers when her Husky story began.
Would you want to come here? What are your hopes and dreams for your future? I'm I just want to make it to high school. I didn't even know what was going on.
Brooke Campbell remembers when head coach Chris McKenzie was on the other end of a phone call that would lead to where she is now. scoring goals for a UConn women's hockey team that's knocking on the door of its second NCAA tournament berth ever. She was in the 8th grade when Coach Mack asked about her future. Now, as a member of the Huskies senior class, she's making memories as part of a group that won't be forgotten anytime soon.
At least me, Woody, Kyla, Pelly, we're all roommates, and like we're so silly at home, and we kind of bring that to the rink. It's just like a really tight-knit thing.
And that tight-knit camaraderie comes out even when the group doesn't know the cameras are watching.
I mean, whenever songs come on, we kind of just are like dancing and grooving on the bench and singing, and it kind of brings up like a lot of like inside jokes and stuff like that. And like sometimes we look up, we're like, oh, we're on the Jumbotron doing that. So it's like, that's really good. But like those are the moments that you remember because it's just so much fun, and like you're doing it with your best friends. So that's what really matters.
Campbell was a sophomore when the Huskies won the 2024 Hockey East Championship and won the right to appear in the team's first ever NCAA tournament. And even though the team lost a double overtime heartbreaker to Minnesota Duluth, that first is forever.
I mean, nobody really had us coined as like actually making it that year. So we had a kind of underdog story that year. So being able to make it then was just incredible. And the people that we had, it was amazing. It was one of my favorite moments probably here.
And as the team begins this year's conference tournament, the senior is determined to leave everything on the ice in her final games as a Husky.
Like we just want to get back there and just kind of prove everyone wrong and really etch our names in history. Just really making the most of these moments and embracing all of them and having fun, and honestly, that's when you play your best.
Well, when we come back, Tage Thompson, the U.S. men's hockey team's gold medal win over Canada, got us thinking. What are the greatest American sports moments of all time? Our answers just ahead. Plus, we'll break down what you don't want to miss this weekend, why the women's basketball team is looking to party like it's 2018, and a big series for the men's hockey team on the horizon. More Connecticut Game Week right after this. All right, well, according to this guy, Puxatawny Phil, we've still got a few more winter weeks ahead of us. I know that's heartbreaking, but I promise spring is around the corner, and thus spring football. And for the first time in a long time, UConn will hold a spring game, giving Husky Nation their first glimpse of action on the gridiron in the Jason Candle era. And not having spring games has kind of become the norm across the scope of college football, so why is Candle putting his team to work this spring? Take a listen.
A lot of reasons. One, if you're talking about the locker room, you want to make sure that your quarterbacks have a chance to be in front of fans, right? And I really don't care if that's, their mothers and their brothers and sisters. I think there's just a different element of, people being in the stands and being around that allows them just to create as much of a game-like atmosphere as we possibly can. You don't get a chance to play preseason games in college football. And then there's another element of it, too, to show our fan base what our team is and what we've been doing. By the time we get to that point in time, we'll be a few months in, and obviously practice would be, a lot of those things we'll get to see firsthand in practice, but we want to be able to show our fans and just get to know, the product that they're going to see in the field in the fall.
I think it's a great point. I think it's really critical because, it's an opportunity to test all the players. When the lights go on and there's people there to watch, that creates just a natural pressure, and that's a good thing. And it's especially really good for the quarterbacks to have to go out there because, it's one thing to do it in private, but when you have to go out there and do it in public, that's an extra level of pressure. And, they're going to make mistakes, but they have to learn to handle their mistakes, in front of everybody, and that's how they learn and grow. So I think it's a great idea that we're doing it, and I think it'll be very beneficial.
Now, no official date yet for a spring game, but fans can expect to start seeing the team putting on the pads and getting into work in a couple of weeks.
And it's hard to believe February is winding down. The month of March will see St. Patrick's Day, spring, and perhaps best of all, March Madness.
But first, we have to get through the regular season, so let's take a look at what's in stores.
The men's basketball team will have its home regular season finale on Saturday against Seton Hall. The program will honor its seniors, including Alex Caravan and Terrace Reed Jr. The Huskies edged the Hall earlier this season, 69-64. Reed had 21 points and 9 rebounds. Tip-off is at noon. The senior class will certainly be missed. Here is Sam Calhoun, grandson of UConn great Jim Calhoun, on their impact.
First, we got to start with Alex Caravan. He's meant a lot to the program. He'll probably be in the Huskies of Honor one day. He's one of the great blue guys that this program's probably had in recent memory that I can think of, at least in my lifetime. And I've been around since the 04 championship. And then for Terrace, I mean, he kind of came in, hit the ground running, and was the 6th man of the year in the Big East, and he's looking like one of the best big men, not only in the Big East, but in the country this year.
Meanwhile, the women's basketball team closes out their regular season on Sunday at St. John's. The Huskies are looking to cap off their first undefeated regular season since 2018. Now, UConn crushed St. John's earlier this season, 88-43 that final. Sarah Strong, AZ Fudd combined for 40 points in that one. Tip-off is going to be at Madison Square Garden at 7:30.
The men's hockey team has a home series against rival UMass. The Huskies are on a 2-game losing streak, dropping both games against Boston College last week. And meanwhile, UMass has won 9 of his last 11 games. The puck drops Saturday at 7 in stores. And the final home game of the regular season is on Thursday against the University of New Hampshire.
And believe it or not, the UConn baseball team is scheduled to make their home opener on Tuesday. The Huskies will host the University of New Haven at Elliott Ballpark. UConn finished 17-3 at home last season. Right now, first pitch is slated for 3:05. Be sure to check the team's website for any potential changes. Now, one thing there to mention about senior night for the Huskies, Caravan on Wednesday talked about that he's already kind of done it because he did do senior night last year, obviously seeing what would happen with his draft stock and everything. But he did say, leaving People's Bank Arena for the final time, that he got a little emotional, had a couple of tears, and he said he's an emotional guy. So I expect to see some of those raw emotions on his final game this weekend. But we did tease talking about the greatest American sports moments. Obviously, USA winning gold last week, huge for the program. What do we think is the greatest American sports moment?
The greatest, that's kind of a tough one. This one is definitely up there, though. Yeah. I mean, you talk about just having the drought and being the underdog in the situation, not being expected to win. So I've definitely got this one. I might put the Redeem team there because I'm a big basketball fan, but there are probably some better ones I could have chosen than the 2008 basketball gold medal.
I feel like the normal and I don't want to say obvious answer is the Miracle on Ice. And maybe it's because it got a movie as well that the hype has just continued for years. Great movie. But the hype just continued, and then it's been brought back up this year with them winning again. Some other great U.S. moments. I said this earlier to you when we were talking about the show. Michael Phelps' just dominance in the Olympics. Yeah. It's not one singular moment, but just his era. I mean, I think great Team USA moment there for him. Yeah,
it's tough not to be a homer and choose anything San Antonio Spurs or any other teams I root for related.
Put your bias at the door.
I mean, they're not supposed to know what teams I root for, but we'll catch you next week.